Hello, folks. Chris McCraw here, iMercury, and what we are going to do today is we are going to take this green wet wood, and we're going to go inside and burn it. It's cold out. So, step one is going to be to take the chainsaw and we're going to cut up some of these things. Okay, when we're cutting these things off, they don't have to be very big, so we're just going to cut them off like maybe a couple, 2 or 3 inches. What I'm going to be showing you today, this is going to be good enough. This is green wood. It's got snow still on it. In a minute here, we're going to be burning this stuff. Okay, we've made short work of the pile that yesterday I picked up on the side of the road. Look at that snow. And we have a nice pile of sawdust that we will need as tinder to get this burning. Yes, green, wet wood will burn.
Okay, friends, we're almost ready to get going here, but we're going to have a little chemistry lesson here first about fire itself. To have fire, you got to have all 3 elements: heat, air, and fuel in equal proportions to have a sustainable combustion. If you rob any one of the corners of the fire triangle, you will cease combustion. You're not going to get a fire. So the problem with burning wet wood is our fuel takes a lot more heat to get going, okay? And we can use this other side of the fire triangle, air. We can provide more air and heat to overcome the additional heat we're going to need to get this fuel to burn, okay? So what we did originally out there was, while we were cutting up our blanks, we accumulated up a bucket full of sawdust. This stuff, for all intents and purposes, except for the friction of it going through the chainsaw, I mean, there's even ice and snow in here, okay? There's even ice and snow particles in there. So it's not perfect fuel, but it is atomerized enough that we can get airflow through this. And if we add enough heat, it will burn, and it will give us a good bed of coals to work from. Now with these blanks, you can see here that this sucker still has ice on it, and it's cold, man. But we're going to get this to burn. Believe it or not, we're going to get this to burn. But we're not going to do it in this big piece. We're going to have to chop it up here on the maul, and we're going to have to break it into smaller pieces, and even smaller pieces than this. The smaller, I'm going to save you the boring stuff, but we're gonna want to get this down to nice little chips like that. And this little set that I got here in the house just works perfect for me. But we're just gonna want to get little chips like that. Okay, nice little chips. Okay, nice. This is what we're gonna be wanting to start. For our green fuel. Now, normally, I cure this stuff up here on the top of the stove. I throw my rounds up there. and I rotate them through, and I get them warm, and I kind of kiln dry them, or stove dry it for a little bit before I throw it in the box. But I'm just going to show you how to get green wood to burn. It is possible, but it does take a little bit of kindling, dry kindling, and I usually only need a little bit, and I'll go ahead and get that going here too. But so this is dry kindling. This stuff is what you really need. So, and here again, we're going to take that stuff, whack that off nice and small. All right, so now we've got some kindling, some small kindling, and now we're gonna. I'm gonna try to zoom in here to the firebox and not get in the way here too much. But yeah, we got last night's coals and embers here, and this stuff is our cured firewood. This is our cured starter wood, because this is from the fire from last night that I used green wood on. So this stuff is already nice and ready to burn. So we're going to pull that stuff out here. And my ash bucket there is full of sawdust, so we're just going to scoop this to the side. Kind of flick off any embers that are large embers, flick them off to the side, because that's charcoal. That's good fuel too. So we're going to kick that off to the side here. Big pieces of charcoal. There. Got some charcoal over here. Normally I'd scoop that out. And we got our dry stuff here. And I'm telling you, if you really want your kindling very small, the smaller it is, the easier it will burn, because it takes less heat to get it up to temperature, so it will combust. So you must always keep that fire triangle in mind when you're playing with fire. Okay, so I'm just going to take a piece of normal newspaper here, wire it up. I'm going to take our big, nice pieces, kind of lay them in the back here. And there's a reason for that, as well as all this charcoal. Not quite totally in the back, but kind of maybe in the middle. And we're going to put this stuff kind of right behind it and on top of it. All right, and we have our piece of newspaper. Put that down in there on top of those embers. And I'm really not liking these, because I want this to go the first time, so I'm going to chop this up just a little bit smaller. So make sure that I got some fuel to get this going. Because most people, when they start a fire, they're trying to light, something that's really big. And with fire, you just want to get something small going and build on it. Okay, so we got some small pieces there. We're going to take a couple of these big pieces, lay it across the top here. Some smaller pieces in across the top. of the paper, because when that lights and ignites, it's going to only burn for a few seconds, really. And so we got to derive enough heat out of this piece of paper to get our kindling to burn. Sometimes this takes a couple of extras. And I'm going to introduce you to my little friend. This is my inspirator. Yeah, what this is just a piece of garden hose, two-foot piece of garden hose. I've taken some aluminum foil, put it on the end there, poked it with a pencil, wrapped it in wire, and this is so we can get it right into the embers and stuff to really get this going. So, ignition. And let me tell you, folks, I've been a pyromaniac my whole life. So I know fire. I know fire. So yeah, this is going pretty nice. There we go. We have ignition. Now we got that frozen, those little frozen wood chips. We're going to start placing those suckers right on top of that kindling. Not too much, because if you smother the flames with too much fuel, you're going to need more heat to overcome the mass of that fuel to get it to burn. So we got to do this incrementally. And now we're going to start maybe reaching in, throwing some of that sawdust in here, just a little bit. Start hitting it with some additional air. Just a little bit, because we still have burning going on here. But that extra air will kick up the temperature of the fire and help dry out this wet green fuel here. And not only that, but you're blowing heat back into that charcoal. And eventually just you blowing onto, in fact, that charcoal is already starting to burn already in the back there. And that's what this is all about, is building up enough heat to get that green fuel to burn. Okay, like that most of my dry kindling is starting to burn out. And eventually it's going to collapse into this into the sawdust. And hopefully the embers from that burning will rest in that those sawdust and perpetuate the combustion process. Let's go ahead and make a few more chips. All right, so we can see now that the flame's kind of dying down a little bit. It's about to collapse. Hit it with some wire. And I think we're going to have to rearrange things and hit it with a lot of air here in a second, because we're going to lose the flame. This is not the time to add more fuel. Not the time to add more fuel. This is the time to rearrange the fuel, so we can get it in there where it's hot. And keep the process going, because actually with these guys, you're going to have to do this for a minute to get them to burn, because their mass and everything is a lot more, and everything then everything else in here. So you got to compensate for that. Okay, so we've gathered up all that dry kindling into one spot. Now we're going to inspire it with some air. Okay, so now we've got that reestablished there. We've got the combustion process going again. Start maybe blowing some of this, trying to blow some of this. Okay, so we got some of our charcoal going there. And we'll go ahead and stick back in those green pieces. Get it with some more air. And we still don't have the coals hot enough or the fuel hot enough for the green stuff to quite get going yet. But we're almost there. And you want to wait till that green fuel is kind of going before you start piling it on, you know. Because you got to have a nice bed of coals on there before you just start filling it up and trying to, you know, establish a fire. So we're trying to get what we got going here going into a nice ball of flame or embers. The more air we add, the faster it'll burn, and the faster it'll burn down. Okay, now I feel comfortable adding some more fuel up here. Right here, over there. I'll start throwing it back there to the side. Just slip it there. A little bit in there. All right. All right, that charcoal really helps, folks. Would not be doing this good without the charcoal. All right, so that's set there for a minute. Collect some heat. Get some more fuel ready. Worry about when the fire goes out like that. You know, it's okay if the fire goes out, because when you're using the green wood, you have fuel, which is it's got a disability. You know, it's got water in it. We got to raise the fuel up to a point where it will burn. Boil off that water so it'll burn. How do we do that? More air! All right, we're almost to the end of the charcoal here. But we almost got our green fuel up to speed here. So okay, we're going to take these bigger pieces, throw them to the side, because we want to only throw on the smallest stuff first. Only the small pieces. And I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go over here and grab this different. This is cured stuff. This is dry stuff. Totally dry. We're just going to throw a pinch in that right in there on top of those coals. Remember, this isn't the stuff that came from outside. Frozen, dry. Okay, we added enough heat to get that sawdust to start burning now. And it's working on that green wood. It's actually almost starting to burn now. And we take this other stuff and we start building a pile around here. We start building it out at the top, at the bottom, kind of leaning it up. Don't want to get your fuel going straight up. So if you get drying down here, it'll burn and dry up. You know, then having a piece like this, and you're drying out this end, it dries, it burns, and then there's no more fuel up here for it to sustain the fire. So yeah, the stuff on the bottom, you especially want to kind of lay up here on its end, on the side. And then we got this little kind of cavity going here. We want to kind of accentuate that. Get some other pieces going up here. Try to catch that heat. A couple more on the top. As you can see, the flame is dying. Oh no, the flame is dying. It's dying. Oh no, the flame is dying. Yeah, and it always does that. It gets going really good for a second, as the heat is elevated briefly, and then it dwindles back down, and the what was combusting, because it was at that better heat, dies down, but you still have some flame left. Little more air will accelerate that. Okay, and that's just with this mouth powered piece. Now we're gonna add some mechanization. Hopefully this thing will work. We're gonna add an electric fan to the mix. Oh, and this little thing's got a short in it, so help me, Wanda. Help me, Wanda. So now we're just adding a wad of air, and as you can see, all the charcoal now is fully burning. And we have got the beginnings of a sustained fire. So we're going to go ahead and maybe get some bigger pieces going here. Just kind of let that sit there and dry, because you're doing this incrementally. You're putting a little more fuel on it, adding more heat, getting it up to burning temperature. You add a little bit more fuel, little larger fuel. Hit with the dragon breath. Come on, baby. On the bottom, more on the top. More fuel, adding fuel to the fire. Into the fire! I'm falling into the fire! Fire, fire, fire! But yeah, so we're just gonna keep adding these little green chip pieces here. And we got chopped up here. More air. More of that flame. Woo, baby. Look at smoke. If we don't do it right, it doesn't dry quite draft right. It comes right out at us. We're trying to get fast fire. Fast hot fire. Fast hot fire. All right, so hey, we got a decent fire going here, and if we let this burn here, if the fire, the flames die down, all you have to do is keep adding air and fuel, and if you find that the embers die down and you're unable to get a flame started with adding air, that means you got too much fuel. Remove fuel. Rearrange your embers. Get your driest fuel on top of the embers. Hit it with air. Keep going through that process. You're going to heat your green wood up to the point that it's going to burn. And especially if you're using stuff that's at least kind of been dried like this. This stuff is really superior, man, because it's just been sitting in here overnight. I mean, because it was frozen just a couple days ago, but this stuff is so much drier. I mean, we'll just put a little piece right here in front, and we'll just probably have to hit it with just a little bit of air, and it'll probably just go right up. But, for all intents and purposes, this stuff is green wood. I mean, it's unseasoned. Yeah, it's being a little. But like I said, it goes through phases like this. There's just a little flame there in the back. There's a lot of flame, flame up here. But just tap it. Tap your fuel. That's tapping down everything on top of those nice hot embers. Just tap your fuel. Maybe even get it to where you can't see the embers, but maybe for a couple spots here on the bottom, because what you're doing is you're restricting the air to go down into those embers. It was some dragon. It's the dragon. Dragon uses heat. so we can get the fire. Fire! I want you to burn. Fire! I want you to burn. Yes. Burn, baby, burn. But yeah, we're getting to a point where we're going to have to hit it with a lot more air here. This doesn't have any readily available fuel, so hey, we'll heat it up. So in this manner, you can take the wettest fuel in the world. You can take sopping wet. If you've got something to start with, some dry wood, something hot to dry the wood out with, you can have a fire. There's And when you're really hitting it with a lot of air like this, you're going to go through fuel pretty fast. So you always want to kind of be adding it back and rearranging it, taking other stuff out here that's kind of pre-warmed, and putting it in the top here, and rebuilding it around the hot spot. Really to the point where we should be adding more fuel, because the fuel we got is already problematic in starting. But we got a little flame in there. You can't see it. We're going to let that sit for maybe another couple seconds here before we hit it with the dragon again. Time for a tap. Ooh, there's a sweet spot. All right. Just add air to it. Especially if you got a nice little portable electric little jobber like this that you can just stick in the fire. Why sit huff and puff when you got, a dragon, big bad wolf? They can do it for you. And this is, the stages you go through. It warms up, it burns down. You have to tap it, rearrange things. Huge ball. Embers down there, but there's no fuel in it. Alright, so we got the ball of warming fuel here. Interesting that I caught that on tape, eh? The death of the dragon. The death of my dragon. Oh no. My dragon is dead. Ah, shit. Oh well. Alright, there we go. We know we just blew up the dragon. We have got enough heat and enough dried fuel to sustain some fire. So we're going to get this going up before we start throwing some more of that fuel back on it. And as you grow this bed of coals, you're gonna grow your heat. You're gonna grow your potential to dry out wood, and this whole process becomes quicker and easier, and it just keeps getting better and better. Because now that wood there right at the top is starting to get dried out, and now we're starting to get a sustained flame going from our wet wood. Yeah, we got it going really nice now. Whole firebox now is full of fuel. There is a sustained fire. Within a half hour or so, this stuff will heat up and burn down. We'll have to add more fuel to it. And the whole process now of keeping this fire and growing this fire is now pretty much complete. I can now pretty much kick back and enjoy the growing warmth that is coming from here. But the key to the real key is small fuel, and air. As you can see there, the sawdust helps kind of concentrate the heat, concentrate the air. And it's pretty much ready fuel, but it doesn't really burn much. It turns mostly to embers. which is kind of important when you're trying to build heat. Yeah, there we go. Now, please note that I've had to burn up basically like two pieces of my pre-warmed wood here to get this going. So, you know, you always have to go over here and replenish your supply with new stock. Let's throw mine just right there on top. Well, actually, we're going to bring these fatter ones up top side. These little ones down here. And hey, I've got a fire this evening made from roadside downed trees. And that's what the thrifty guy, this is what the Scotch person does, you know. Because, you know, we're thrifty. I can't afford to buy a cord of wood for $200. So, you know, this is what I have to do. And this is what you can do to go ahead and get that wet wood to burn. I hope this helps. This is Chris McCraw, Mercury, out for the evening.